Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th episode of Driver Stories. We have another exciting one as we talk the pros and cons of team driving and the ins and outs of being on the road during winter weather. We'll touch on chains, black ice, and share some helpful tips for keeping that pony motor running in the freezing cold. But that's not all. We'll also chat about famous mountain passes, the cryogenic industry, what it's like to be a woman in trucking, and why it's incredibly important to help one another while on the job. Today we have Scott and Michele Sedach with us, a team that's been driving for many years together and who are absolute experts on the road. Let's start that engine. Welcome back to Driver Stories. With us today is Scott and Michele Sedach, and special guest is Brian Pickett, Safety Director for LGT. So watch what you say, Scott and Michele, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He'll red flag us.
So we're privileged that Scott and Michele are driving through Omaha today and wanted to spend some time with us. And we're going to start with just kind of getting their backgrounds. And so, Michele, how did you get into trucking?
Just wanted to drive, see the countryside. I was fascinated right there with the trucks when I was little.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did your mom or dad drive?
Nope.
Her brothers taught her.
My older brother actually drove, and I drove with him for I think 5 to 10 years or so. Driving team with him. Got out of that, did it on my own, and
She picked me up on the shoulder of the road. Felt bad for me.
Are you serious?
No.
no,
I might feel bad for you.
yeah, that I gotta put up with him. No,
we met in Arizona outside of Phoenix. She was back into a door, and I tried to be a nice guy and asked to open her doors for her, and she shrugged me off pretty strong. As I'm a woman and I can do this myself. And
hey, I don't need a man to do my job.
And then I was so taken with her at first. I should have thought differently.
Oh, that was the cue? I don't need a man to do my job?
Yeah, pretty much. Then I tried to back in, and I left my doors closed because I was still thinking about what she told me. So I had to pull forward and redo my stuff, and she's just laughing her head off at me.
That's a rookie move.
Yeah, I was a rookie. So.
How long ago was that?
Oh my goodness, mid 2004, 5, 6, right in there.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And did you guys start teaming together right away?
Within a year, I think. We kind of touched on it a little bit, and then we got serious. We hauled some explosives for the government for a while.
Okay.
And it put us just in all kinds of crazy places we'd never seen before, and being together all the time, we kind of got used to that, and we thought, you know what, if we find our niche, which happens to be cryogenics, we can make some serious money. I mean, we went from driving truck $50,000 a year, we scratched on the $80,000 a year mark, and then we finally went into the 6 figures, and now we're grossing, we're making 3-4 times what we started making. I mean, easily.
Yes, but you run. And
We live the dream.
Yes.
Literally.
How many miles did you do this week?
6,400, but that was a slow week actually. We left out Thursday noon and we were here Tuesday with 6,400 miles.
Yeah. So where did you learn to drive?
I went to truck driving school in Missouri, and I started driving. The first trainer that I had kicked me off the truck. I went through like 3 trainers. I just couldn't get along with them. They wanted to tell me how. They wanted to tell me how to think, not just drive a truck. They wanted to change who I was as a person. I just couldn't handle that. So I thought maybe this isn't for me. So I lied on an application, and I told them that some of my straight truck experience was actually tractor trailer experience. And I got hired. I barely knew how to back a truck. I was maybe 3 months on a trainer truck. I was still as green as you could be, and I got this job. They hired me, and I learned hard. You know, like they gave me 20 stops from Springfield. I went to St. Louis and did 20 deliveries and did some back hauls, and then to Memphis, and I did the same thing. And I was in all kinds of traffic all the time, and I learned the hard way, get in everybody's way.
Wow.
And then eventually we finally met. I started going over the road, and just never looked back. It's been 21 years this March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And
Yeah.
I've averaged about 150 or more thousand a year every year.
Yeah. You guys do very well.
Goodness, it's been
Yeah.
it's been millions of miles ago.
So while we're
lot.
talking about teaming, right?
Yes.
You guys are very rigid, I would say, probably about your schedules, right? I mean, you drive during the day, Scott drives at night,
Yes.
right? And
She has more patience with stupid.
yeah, but
So.
she but Michelle, you always do the paperwork
Always.
and you always take care of the equipment.
Yes.
You're the mechanic of the
I am.
team.
I help. There's things that she can't do by herself. You act like I just watch her and take
No.
pictures. There's
No, if I yell him, hey, I need help with this right here, he'll come help right there. But as far as maintenance wise and everything like this right here, when it comes to greasing the truck and the trailer, I'm hands on.
Right.
I love to get my fingernails dirty, so
And
I'm not afraid.
And I like to ride bikes in my time off, so we need a little bit of a separate air at times.
So
you know,
him
that's-
out of my hair when I'm doing my job, I'm
Yes.
good with it.
And
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
So what's the best thing about running team?
Him going to the sleeper. No.
The whole paperwork thing. Let me add to something on this paperwork thing. I am the anal one on paperwork. I love the details, and I used to haul a lot of fuel,
Okay.
and I would do 10, sometimes more loads every single night, 8,500 gallon loads, from the top of Amarillo, load at the rack, and loop around and do all the convenience stores. And I was doing about an hour and a half, maybe even an hour and 20 minutes per load. Loading,
quick on your
run,
phone.
deliver, and come back.
Okay.
And I wrote out a ton of paperwork, and it had to be just right. I mean, it was like I wrote so hard on my paper that it was like Braille. You could just feel it and know what I wrote. I was so picky about it. And by the time we got into cryogenics, I was already up to here with paperwork. I had done accounting. I worked at an accounting firm as well myself in downtown Dallas, and I just was like, "You want this, baby? Let's just learn how to write it. You know, let's see how we make our money with this. You got to word things just right to get paid just right."
And that came from Jack B. Kelly, how we started tweaking the paperwork along the way. And now I write smaller. So
we butted
more
heads for a
details.
while, but once we were on the same page on how we got paid with this and how it needed to be worded correctly, so everybody was good, then it was like, and then she just took off with it, and she does write smaller. So I'm just like, man, this is beautiful. She can have it all. She does. And I'm good with that. So,
Okay. So, best thing about running team?
2 logbooks. You have really no limitations other than yourself. You can be as efficient as you want to be, or you could be as lazy as you want to be. I mean, it's how hungry are you to make the most money?
Okay.
You know,
No.
I don't like to waste my time out there.
Say the best time right there is actually getting to spend time with each other. That is the best
Of
thing, and learning
course.
as you go.
Of course, that was my next. Of course, I was going to say
But he didn't
that.
say it.
No, we trust each other with every little thing. There's no way you could do what we do if we didn't. I mean, not just money and behind the wheel and attitudes that we get sometimes. I mean, we have to trust each other because there's some crazy stuff going on out there. And I have to sleep and know that she's going to be good.
Right.
And she runs into way more traffic than I do. So she's got to be really even keel. And I know she can handle herself. You see these forearms. Sometimes it gets hot out there, and I'm like, do I got to get dressed? Because we could get in a situation.
Nope, a good.
No, she's good. She handles it. So, but
So, what's the worst part about running team?
Idiots.
space.
Idiots.
Space. We wind up two big human beings, you know, with a lot of stuff on the truck, and it's just a tight quarters.
Yeah.
You feel like, you know, living out of a bag a lot of times. I mean, we're organized, But the better that you get at your job, the more stuff you pull on the truck to accommodate what the need is.
Yeah.
And so its space is limited. That's the tough part. And I have to have a bicycle on the truck, so.
So there goes
Not
all
I'm
that
out of there.
space.
It has its own bed. I know it's nice and safe up there. It's good.
Hey,
So the first time you told me you had a bicycle, and Brian, I don't know if you ever visualize this, but first time I remember you told me you had a bicycle, I was thinking about this truck going down the road, and it was strapped somehow to the back of it, somewhere on the catwalk or something like that. And then you told me it was inside.
Yeah.
It's literally inside the truck.
Well, you take one pedal off, and you take the front wheel off, because it's all carbon fiber racing bike. It's a $10,000+ racing bike, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to have it outside.
Right.
So it's like in memory foam, 6 inches wrapped the way it needs to be.
It has his own little bed.
I mean,
Yeah, most teams get dual bunks so they each have a bunk, right? You have a dual bunk, so your bike has a bunk.
we
Yeah.
fold our shoulders in half. You see how wide our shoulders are.
He's lucky he's not on the floor half the time.
And I snore all night in our ear.
That's right.
It works just right.
You're better off sleeping with a bike.
Oh wait, you are.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But she can reach around and touch it. It's still there.
I like to shove it through the roof sometimes.
That's my peace of mind, though. I have
Yeah.
to, we have to have something, an outlet.
That's his, and I'm working on the truck.
Yeah.
That's my downtime.
Yeah. So you guys have been with LGT for
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since that time, you've always worked for Praxair, now Lindy,
Yes.
running Argonne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you always run on the West Coast.
Always. In South and North Dakota.
Yeah. Periodically. And that's your favorite spot.
If you can stay out of California for the most part, and that slow speed limit, you make the most miles where we are. It is at any week, if they organize your time correctly, and you have to coach them on that, you can make 7,000 miles every week, really. But we try to do in between 6 and 7 on average.
Right.
But those miles are there every single week, and there's no way they can ever handle it themselves.
It's just them right there planning it, listening to the driver right there saying, hey, this is how I would think, how I would do it. And then they turn around and they're like, they get a little, I say a little butt hurt a little sometimes, and they're like, well, don't tell me how to do it. I'm not telling you, I'm kind of giving you a little bit of suggestion how it might work to benefit our logbook a lot better to do it that way.
Well, we know the area so well now that we know when the customer is going to be due for another load. You kind of almost, without seeing the board, you can estimate. And so if you, depending on where we're at in the week on the pay period and those particular customers in our area, we can organize it to where more can get done. They don't have an invested, into our company. They don't care if we make money or not. They just want to put out fires. But if we organize their thoughts a little better and say, hey, we can get this much done for you guys in this amount of time, and they're not looking at it that way, we make more money for sure. And then they're way happier later. They're like, oh, okay, why not?
Yeah.
So, but you have to know your area, and they thank us later because they're not looking at the big picture. They're just looking at this fire, and then they have another phone to answer. And I'm like, well, let me just get 20 more seconds of your concentration so you can see what I'm seeing or what I know is out there already.
Right.
And then, so you're not teaching them their job. You're just making sure that we push the right button when it's supposed to be pushed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Teamwork.
yeah, exactly. It's
Right.
got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
So one of the things, though, in riding in that area is winter.
Such a joy.
Ice road trucking. Yeah.
Yeah.
We put up with that.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
It's all right.
So one of the things that I always hear is I don't want to chain up,
Yeah.
right? And you guys chain up a lot, a little?
During the heavy, sometimes we run into at least one storm every 24 hours. Sometimes it's that much to where you just got to keep doing it.
And it's for a ways.
Yeah.
Good 100 miles, 50 miles or something like that. It just depends how far it goes.
So you doing it by choice? You're doing it because it's required?
We're doing it because it's required. We can't shut down, but then you're not making money. And we found out with LGT and Holland Cryo that everybody works well with each other as long as you keep moving. It doesn't matter if we're a few hours late on something. It's still gonna work, you know. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to flat speed everywhere we go to make our money. We can just keep a nice even pace, efficient pace. And whether we're running through 5 snowstorms that week and chaining half the time, we're still gonna make the same money as if it was dry, for the most part, unless it's the road closes. Mm-hmm. So, and we've been with another cryogenic company that we weren't able to do that because they weren't hearing us. But here, if we make money, you make money, and it just works better. The last load is the gravy, and we need that last load, to keep the average up.
Right.
And that's important.
Yeah. So traditional chains. Are you guys trying out those new chain socks?
No, we do traditional. And we put rubber bands on the outside of the spiders.
Socks go on feet, not trucks. That's how I look at it.
Yeah? So you guys both take a side?
Yes. You
do?
Yes.
Okay.
She can throw faster than I can most of the times.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot the arms.
No, I mean, but then we go and check each other's
easier.
tires, both of us, to tighten up everything. I mean, to throw them, to roll back on them and hook them is one thing, but then you have to go back and redo some to make sure they're tight enough. If not, you're going to be ripping out lights and fenders. And so we help each other on that. I have long arms, longer than her, so I can reach and it's just we complement each other on whatever's needed. Mm-hmm. But it only takes us 20 minutes to do the whole truck when we're on it. It might take a person an hour and a half by themselves if they don't know what they're doing. So
I think what's really irritating right there, especially when you're a woman out there, you have people come up to you and say, "Can I help you do this?" And you're like, "No, I do know how to do it." And when they sit there and watch you, that you know how to do it, they take notes on that right there. It's like they're going, "Okay, well, I see how fast she did it right there. Maybe I can do it." I've helped numerous people right there put chains on out there. Huh. I mean, I'm not afraid to stop and help somebody. Right. I mean, that's common courtesy. You would think that's what us truck drivers should be doing, is helping one another.
Yeah.
Huh.
But we've gotten way away from that right there. Not me though.
She does. She helps. She's better at chaining than I think.
I love doing it.
Yeah.
Brian, you're on the spot here.
On the spot as far as chaining up?
Yeah, you ever chained up?
Have I chained up? Yes, I have chained up before.
Really?
I have. Yes.
Okay. Traditional chains?
Yes.
No socks?
They did not have the tire socks available when I was chaining up.
Wow. And where were you at?
We were running out there in California.
Okay.
And we were running up into Oregon and Washington State. And we would have to chain up, and we'd cross some of the mountain passes that required it. If the lights are on, we stop and we chain up. So.
Wow. Teaming.
Yes, I was teaming at the time.
Yeah, so it's probably easier with a team.
It is.
Did not have the co-driver helping me at the time.
Well, some like to do it. Some are like, well, yeah, I'll help, and some are like, in my shift, you do it.
We always help each other. We like, we don't want one person to feel like their shift was way harder than the next person's.
Right.
So it just works better that way. I get up in the middle of my shift and I'll load and unload every single load. Since day one we came here, I've done every single load. Yeah. And I just learned to go back to sleep when I'm supposed to. So there's certain responsibilities on the truck, that so she can pay attention to her end a lot better, and
Which
it
ends
just
that? No.
no, I mean the paperwork and then organize and schedule, and we talk about that first, and then I'll go out there in the cold or whatever it is. Sometimes it's sweltering 120, in Arizona.
Right.
But it just means that we don't have to think about the whole job all the time. She can take half of it, I can take half, and you can move faster that way, and then just go and know that it's done right, because she had her full attention on one part,
Right.
and I got my full attention on the other. We've never had a mishap that way, so
So let's talk about black ice, right?
horrible.
Yeah, right? How do you know it's there?
You can see it glimmer on the road. When you see black ice right there, you can see it on the back of your mirrors, the back shield, and you can hear it on your antennas right there. It'll whop. You can hear it right there, and you can see it glisten right there on that road. You see it.
I feel it in the lower part of my back in the seat. I automatically, when you're getting into that kind of weather, you're modulating your steering inputs very, very carefully, and your throttle, no abrupt anything, real careful, and you feel it in your seat, and it'll kick out on you, when you're not paying attention close enough. And sometimes it takes me in some of these storms a half a mile to change lanes. I mean, I'm just very ginger and just going. When it gets so bad,
Park it.
we just park it. I mean, we're not trying to, it's not that important. So the money is not that important for your life. So,
Well,
But,
the
I mean-
customer right there, when you explain to the people who you're hauling for
yeah,
right there, and you say, look, it's a safety issue, and they're like, okay, that's it, we're done.
usually it
And they
takes
don't have
me.
a problem.
Usually it takes me to the point where I can't keep the windshield clear enough for me to see well enough. It freezes up when you got it. We block the whole passenger side of the defrost, and it's all coming to the driver's side, and it's still not enough to keep that windshield clear. By that point, we're pulling it over. The wipers are useless. They're this big with ice on them. I mean, it's just. So once I got long arms, like I said, I reach out there and snap it while it's coming back. I'll grab it while I'm driving and come back and and eventually it just gets to the point where that's not.
Feasible.
I mean, we try to go as much as we can. We hardly ever shut down, but you
Hey,
can
I'll
tell.
take a break.
Yeah, I mean, it's better. We get better rest when the truck's sitting. But
How about you, Brian? Black ice?
I've driven in black ice a lot of times when we were running out of Indiana up into Wisconsin and Minnesota, run into it up there. One of the things that I was always looking for was spray off the tires.
yeah,
And if we lost that spray off of the tires, you could pretty well tell that it had changed over into ice at that point. And the black ice being the shimmery
Yeah.
ice that looks almost like diamonds reflecting off the road versus the thick white ice that would run into down south. I remember running in an ice storm down in Texas one time. One of the worst ice storms I've ever had to encounter. 6-8 inches of thick ice on the roadway, and of course, it's a whole different environment versus the black ice, which is extremely treacherous because you don't really know you're in it until you're in it. And like I said, once that temperature drops, you hit below freezing. The roadway's been wet. A lot of times, you're looking for that area underneath the overpasses where it doesn't get sunlight all day long.
Yeah.
You've had some precipitation throughout the day, and now we've hit that magic below 32, and that's when we start to see that black ice appear.
when we hit a bridge expansion, when we're just a little bit of a bridge on the road, an overpass, I should say, and that abrupt difference of the road and that overpass, sometimes it'll make you skate across the whole top of that thing. But then I'm setting brakes. I mean, it's because you
And
get
that
a lot.
happened in Dallas,
Yeah.
that area.
I've
too,
skated
that ice
the
storm.
whole truck and trailer across a pretty good long overpass, and I knew. And the next stop we stopped, and the whole parking lot was ice too. The same, couldn't even walk.
Wow.
Yeah, but
So what was the scariest moment then? In winter, can you think? You guys think of anything that stands out? Brian?
I can think of one time off a hand, and this was driving down south in an ice storm. I was doing a kind of a coordinated training mission with a young man that just hired on with the company that week, and he had his own truck. We were both owner operators. We were running across I-30, and there was only one lane that was acceptable to drive in, which was the right lane. It was rutted out well enough that everybody was staying in the right lane. We're running about 25, 30 mile an hour average. Everybody was keeping a nice safe distance.
Yeah.
And we're cruising along. It was taking a long time to get a short distance, but that was just the way it was that day. And here comes a freight hauler that had jumped in the left lane, and he's just hammered down, passing us left and right.
Wow.
And the young man that I was training, he got on the CB radio and said, wow, he was really doing great. And he said, I think I'm going to get out there with him. And he decided to come out of the right-hand lane, walk that truck and trailer across those ruts, and got in that smooth left-hand lane. And I guess about 5 miles down the road, he got on the radio one more time and said, the freight hauler just flipped over upside down in the median, and I think I'm about to be right there with him.
Wow.
And at that point, he got really nervous, and I just kind of walked him through the process on how to get back over in that right lane.
Yeah.
And once he got in that right lane, he said, I see a hotel sign up ahead. Do you think we should get off?
Very gently maneuver yourself over, very gently.
It was a unanimous decision. We're going to get a hotel for the evening. And that's what we did.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Not one in particular situation stands out. We run a lot where there's Canadian drivers where we are, and they don't slow down very much. And
Especially in Canada, right there.
I'll back it way down 30, 40, however much you got to go to feel comfortable. And the Canadian guys will go flat booking by you. And the problem with that is they blow up snow in the air. And sometimes you can't see for like 10 seconds straight. You're just like, until it finally, till he gets far enough ahead to where it blew out, you know. And that's, you're in the blind then. Doesn't matter how careful you are. You're just hoping. You're still going, you know.
Right.
And that happens often.
Yeah.
I can't say I had mine wasn't in the winter right there though. You know, when I first started driving, I was team driving with my brother out there in Oklahoma, and they had new asphalt compared to the old asphalt right there. So it had that little ridge right there. So when you actually, I mean, it literally scared me to death. Big old W9L right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at this, I got myself a big truck. And my brother's back there going, oh gosh, here we go. You know? So when I made that transition to go to the left lane, and I hit that lip, and when I did, it jerked me and everything like this right here, you know, and I got it up there. You know, I'm new at this, so didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Got up there, rode that right there, and I was like, you know, I think I'm just going to stay right here for a while. And everything, got going and everything, and then when I came back down, it really jerked me and everything like this right here. You know, and that way it was like in the summertime. So that right there makes you go on high alert right there to really pay attention to your surface of your road right there. I mean, that was...
Look up ahead way high and make sure you're not going to run over crazy stuff in the road, and drive the load. If it's a high profile load, drive it accordingly. If it's low, you know, you can take your turns and your acceleration different depending on the load. You got to drive the load. You got to be mindful of that. Some people get in the vehicle. This happened to me just recently. I didn't realize that we were loaded. I thought we were empty. That's a crazy feeling. Like, because you get so used to driving, and I couldn't feel the load on the back of me for some reason. And so that's not a good thing. You need to be mindful. And I realized instantly, you know, when I started to exit and I started to apply brakes, I was like, oh yeah, we are loaded, aren't we? But you don't want to take a turn too fast. When you're empty, you're going to go a little hotter in a turn maybe.
No, you shouldn't.
So, well, you shouldn't, but I mean, you're going to go a little bit. more relaxed. You know, when you're on the brakes a little harder with the load. So yeah, you definitely don't get too tired, get too in a hurry. Be mindful of what you're doing.
The famous saying that they say, "Don't get complacent."
Yeah, it was just for a minute. I thought I was in Minnesota, and it was just straight for 100+ miles. You know, and I couldn't feel no pull on anything. It's flat, whatever. And I just was like, I should have known where we were going to North Dakota to deliver. And it didn't feel like I was loaded. And I just like, oh, darn. That's bad.
So how about when you first started driving in winter weather? Were you nervous?
I think everybody should be nervous about that.
Yeah?
Because you don't really know what you're going to get into out there. I mean, I had a driver one time. He used to drive in 6 months, and I overheard, shame on me, I was eavesdropping. So he was talking to another driver, and the older seasoned driver asked this other guy, right, how long have you been driving? He goes, 6 months. And I go, oh, shoot. I think I'm going to stay home this winter. You know, because he's not experienced about that right there. But, you know, you don't get out there and think you're going to hot rod through everything, especially in the wintertime right there. I mean, any time right there you shouldn't, especially in the wintertime right there. Because you don't know what the road surface is. You don't know what's coming at you or anything.
Where we drive, we have to a day in advance sometimes, or at least a half a day in advance, start planning. Like, we know where we're going. We have to start looking at the forecasts on these routes, because it's a lot of negative temperatures. So we have to treat the fuel before we even get up there, you know, to make sure that we're going to be in good shape. I mean, the pony motor and ours.
Right.
Make sure we got enough antifreeze, all the stuff that we're going to need, because if you stall, we've been in a truck stop to where you weren't even driving and you were just idling the truck and people were gelling up. It was so cold. So if you're driving down the road, you know, you got to block your
radiators,
the whole front of the truck, and just leave a little opening, because you'll never get heat in that motor. You know, so there's a whole different.
So what do you block it with?
Cardboard, and we just strap cardboard on there, and we cut out a little diamond shape, and we block that whole Peterbilt grill, and it just keeps it warm enough to where, you know. So,
and really, if you want to really do this right here, here's a tip for y'all. Put a mud flap on the front of your pony motor right there where the radiator is. Strap it down, tie it to your doors. It'll keep that right off of that radiator.
Wow.
That's what we do.
I know the scariest, it wasn't winter driving, the scariest thing that I did in cryogenics was we were only hauling helium trailers to the port, so no interaction with
That's
anything.
scary
Just
enough.
drop and hook. Yeah, New Jersey, the port there is crazy. So they trained us at Jack B. Kelly, the first cryo company that we went to, for like 4 days, how to offload and load nitrogen.
Right.
And then they let it go for like a month or two. And we thought, oh no, they're never going to, they changed their mind. They won't use us for this. So we kept doing the helium. All of a sudden then we get an Oregon trailer and we're on the Gent, Kentucky route from New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I had no clue. I'm looking at the back of this trailer. I had no clue what I was looking at. And we get to Gent, Kentucky loaded, and it's raining and it's dark. And it's a tank farm there. You know, there's like 6 tanks and all kinds of plumbing. And the security guy drove us back there, and he's like, he just pointed and he just kept going. And I backed in and I looked, and I'm on the phone. You shouldn't have been on the phone in this place anyway, but I'm on the phone in the rain with the thing, my hood on, and I'm getting talked through where to connect this thing. There's plumbing. I mean, it's like, it's a farm.
The old way of training.
Oh my
The
goodness.
old way.
And I got it off.
Right.
Thank God. But I didn't have a clue what I was doing, other than I knew I had a hammer in my hand and I was going to start hitting stuff, you know, to tighten things down.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. That's how I mean, it's my truck driving. I had to learn the hard way. Nobody wanted to be in the truck with me. And then they just threw me into this thing.
A lot of people wouldn't understand, you know, not being from our industry, you know, as far as like doing the cryogenic deliveries.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
a big deal.
you know, the first time I opened up one of those doors, I'm looking at him like, this is a plumber's nightmare. What in the world is this?
Well, if you count all the valves, there's like 25 of them. You're
There's
like,
valves everywhere and piping.
Yeah.
And where do I hook the hose up? You know.
That's how I was. And the guy in Louisiana where we loaded was really railed on me because I wasn't familiar with the rear of that trailer. So he basically had to do it for me, and I watched him real close, and I was petrified that I was going to lose my job and everything else, and I watched him so close. The next time, I made sure I had a clue what I was doing. I mean, I got it done. I didn't want him screaming at me, and he watched me close. So I learned out of fear, I think. Mostly.
He's gonna take that brass hammer to me.
And then we got really good at it. I saw.
We were doing that route for, 3 years or something like that?
Yeah, that was a great route.
So mountain passes, Donner Pass. Any favorites? Any hated areas?
Goodness, anything California. No offense.
Well, you got to figure.
In a big truck, anyway.
Yeah, in a big truck right there. It's bad out there. Speed limit alone will kill you. Just drive you nuts.
The worst passes.
The worst. I can't really say. The worst one is Cabbage in Oregon right there because it's so windy going down it. Yeah. And I mean, it's like you're at the top and you're getting halfway down it and you're nothing but fog.
You can't see a thing.
So you can't see nothing, and it's pretty much Oregon right there. I would say that can be kind of sketchy a little bit. Montana's really not that bad. North Dakota, all these other ones are not that bad really.
How about going into Canada? Because I know you guys did that.
Canada is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
It's just 7 months straight of winter driving. What we experienced, we experienced 7 months straight.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Well, you got to figure.
And their roads are rough.
Yeah, they are rough.
Because they have all their equipment is twice as big as ours. Way more axles. And you're a little truck compared to them. You get in a truck parking lot and everything's stretched out and they got doubles and they fly with this stuff 120,000 pounds. And you're a little baby, in all this group. So then you just get blown away out there. You just keep your little lane and it'll be 400 miles, we'll see America. But yeah, coming down Sweetgrass into Canada is a big steep hill, crazy hill.
Yeah.
That is.
And they never plow it. Nobody lives out there. They don't take care of it. In Canada, and you're coming, it's like a bowling alley, and there's the port, or the customs.
Yeah.
And you can come in hot, and you could start out at 10 miles an hour at the top and just try to creep down that thing, and before you know it, you're 5 times faster than you should be rolling in there, and you got a little bit of a flat space to try to back it down, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in a lane.
Yeah.
So that was nerve-wracking. You're just like, oh, goodness gracious.
How about you, Brian?
I've never made that trip.
Oh, well, come on. You can come with us.
I'm going to pass on that.
It was horrible. And they'd be looking at you.
I'm going to jockey the computer.
Well, just look at some of the pictures right there that I have right there. Leaving Fort Saskatchewan one time at 79.5. Coming across Canada into Great Falls, into Butte, crossing that scale at almost 85,000. That's how much snow and ice right there we accumulated from our low point to that scale.
It took us an hour and a half to beat it off, and it ripped all our airlines. I mean, it was crazy. It was this thick everywhere.
So we were heavy, and I liked it because we were solid to the ground. A lot of weight.
The scale master in Butte looked at us like, what the?
I just shook my head. You want to help me beat it off? Come on. I have hammers.
Well, we just keep going, nice and even. No hurry. That's the key. No hurry.
Yeah. So one of the things that Michelle said was,
Uh-oh.
the pictures.
Oh.
And if you know Michelle, she takes lots of pictures, and
Yes.
I love some of the pictures you sent. The most beautiful places on earth, I think you guys have been to. It's amazing.
And she does that. I shouldn't say this while
You
she's
should
Yeah,
driving.
don't say that.
I do it when I'm standing still.
She's that good about it. There's no way I could catch a picture, even on my feet, as good as what she does while she's.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, you just notice every little thing. I mean, most people right there, they look at something right there and it's like, oh, well, that right there was there before. Oh, that right there. It don't look any different. But actually, you look at it, it has changed. Everything's always different.
Yeah.
Right there when you go by it. You may not notice it the first time.
She really loves truck driving more than I've ever met anybody.
Well, and that's one of the things that we were talking, I was sitting here thinking, you know, a lot of times we focus on the negative
Yeah.
about trucking, but boy, the places that you can see, you know, and the country that you would never see otherwise is what you see when you're on the road. And places where, you know, I remember when we first got started, we were doing some work out of Medicine Hat, and we went up to, Dave and I went up and drove the route. And we were up there in the middle of, we were right across from Sweetgrass, I think is where the crossing was. And we got lost, and we were in this road that didn't have any lights or whatever, and it was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and it was pitch dark. It was so dark, right? I mean, you couldn't see anything except the headlights and the road in front of you. And I said, you gotta stop. And he stopped, he turned off the lights, and we got out of the truck and we looked up, and it was the most amazing sky with stars, and it was just
planetarium for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, had we not got lost, had we not been up there where there was nobody, you couldn't hear a sound. All you could see was that magnificent sky. And so I just, you know, when I think about what you guys do and all the painful points to it, I think one of the beauties of it is
the landscape.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you know, everybody gets hustle and bustle right there. They get so engrossed in everything that what they got to do, and it's like, just take that minute to get out of the city part of it right there and just defuse from everything right there and just look at the sky. Look at, you know, quietness.
Yes.
That's what I did to him, you know, Scott, the other night right there. And I go, listen. And he's like, well, I don't hear anything. I go, exactly. It's quiet.
Right.
You know, a lot of people right there take that for granted.
Right.
I love being out there in the country. Get me out of here. I'm all right.
When you tie that into a snowstorm, right? And you're in the winter driving, and you know you've got all these horrible road conditions. But when the snow is just coming down,
it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. You know, it's not dirty on the road. It's just
fresh and brand
You see
new.
the glimmer, you know, in
Absolutely.
the field right there, and all you see is the little sparkles, the sun, just right, and you're like, man, that is just gorgeous right there. God just gave me something right there that I can really look at right there, and just, you know, most people will probably say, well, I'm gonna take that for granted. Don't, because it's always different right there, and it's just something right there that is a memory that you get to cherish right there because you saw it like that.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have done as much winter driving if had not we'd been a team.
If I didn't chain them up.
Well, I mean, she's so seasoned and enjoys this so much, and she's not scared about it. She's more daring to jump in the left lane in a snowstorm than I am. Yeah. I mean, I'll do it when I need to pass to be safe, but she's more on the throttle about it and knows what she's doing. She's not just in a hurry, and it gives me a more of a confidence when I know we're going to get into something that it's going to take us a whole day or a day and a half longer to do this load, twice as long as it should. I'm not nervous about it like I would be if I was on my own, and man, I know that she's got my back because she's got a lot of brains to this, and I got hers. No, it's a comforting thing. So we kind of just not plow into it aggressively, but we plow into it without the worry. We know we're coming out the other side, no problem.
Right.
Well, you know, when you get in a winter storm right there, you see all the stupidness right there in the right-hand lane. They're following each other way too close.
Yeah.
I'd rather be away from that mix and do my thing in the left lane, and then I'll get back over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we typically stay ahead of. I mean, we pass people in the snow because I don't trust being around other people.
No.
But except for the Canadian guys, I let them dust us. I don't care.
You all do what you want.
Whatever. I'll back off for you. Just get on by. But yeah, I like to get the headache behind me. I don't think there's a lot of experience on the road as much as there used to be. You know, it makes you nervous because you see how they communicate with their lights or don't use blinkers or drive up on you way too close and then all of a sudden make a spur of the moment decision. They're not in their head right. They didn't give themselves 5 or however many seconds to process the right thought. It's all on the fly, and not in that weather. You don't want to be on the fly. So I'm like, I'm going to leave you in behind me. I'm sorry, I'm going to blow snow up in your face, but you know, you got to be better planned out a little bit.
I'm always saying right there when I have to pass somebody and I blow snow, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it, I'm sorry, but you know, I gotta get by you.
Yeah.
You know, I feel bad for them. It's like, even though I'm the one who's doing it to them. I apologize in advance.
It'll hurt just for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you.
Scott and Michelle, you guys have been great guests. Brian, thanks for joining in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, what little you did. No.
I got a big mouth. I'm sorry. I don't know when to shut up. Sorry about it.
But it's always a pleasure. So
Absolutely.
I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you and
We're
appreciate
happy
you
to
doing the
be
podcast today. So
We love it here. Best
Uh-huh.
job I've had
Yeah.
as a truck driver, for sure.
awesome.
No question.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for Driver Stories. Thanks for joining. And that's a wrap on this episode of Driver Stories. Make sure to check out our website on lgttransport.com for more information about the show and LGT Transport. You can also find us on social media and let us know what you think of our podcast. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Driver Stories.